We also acknowledge that hopes are not enough, that we are called to action, whether through financial donations, work with refugees, or support of those in areas of conflict. We pledge today to act upon our hopes. Let's have a moment of silence in honor of all those in danger today.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Houston Oasis is a community of compassion and reason, celebrating the human experience, and unfortunately, sometimes the human experience is not super fun. So thank you for helping us acknowledge some of that super fun, not fun times that are happening right now. And with that, I also like to start off every meeting by talking about some of the core values that for Houston Oasis, and I would like to mention human hands solve human problems, and people are more important than beliefs, two that I feel are very relevant for both today's talk and for what's going on in the world. So our main talk today will be given by Ari Ogden, who will be discussing her Girl Scout Gold Award project. The Gold Award is the highest achievement within the Girl Scouts, and her project has been constructing a pollinator garden in association with Exploration Green, with the aim of providing a slice of nature that serves as a way station for bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, and other pollinators. So please help me welcome to the screen, both online and behind me, Ari Ogden.
My name is Ari Ogden, and I am an ambassador Girl Scout in the process of earning my Gold Award. For my project, I decided to focus on and spread awareness of the increased endangerment of bees and the many ways in which we as humans can help them recover. So you may be asking yourself, why are bees important? Well, contrary to popular knowledge, they actually play a crucial role in humanity's survival. Approximately 80% of the world's crops, including fruits, nuts, and vegetables, are pollinated by bees. They have proven to be effectively essential to the
Hi, Ari.
excuse
me. Can you move closer to your mic?
Yeah.
Can you move closer to your mic? It's echoing a little bit.
That better? Yeah. That better? Is it better?
Is that better? Yeah. Can you speak a little slower and stay as close to the mic as possible?
Yes. Okay. Yep. Approximately 80% of the world's crops, including fruits, nuts, and vegetables, are pollinated by bees. They have proven to be effectively essential to the cultivation of produce. Without them, the future of agriculture may hang in the balance. Did you know that the majority of this work is done by native bees? Native bees, also known as non-hive building bees, may seem useless at first glance. Unknown to many, though, is that these insects do the majority of pollinating work when compared with their honey-producing brethren. What are native bees, though? It's a thing that people don't usually hear about. Well, these are solitary bees that do the majority of work pollinating flowering crops and trees, as well as a multitude of other plants in nature. Unlike honeybees, which were originally brought over from Europe, native bees originate from within the United States and have a natural role in its environment. Instead of dwelling in a hive and tending to a queen, native bees are solitary insects and reproduce like most common insects do. When a female is ready to lay her eggs, she will find a hole in a rotting log or a tree or somewhere similar in nature and carefully arrange her eggs inside, capping off each one in its own chamber with mud. And here I have arranged pictures of some of the native bees that you can find in Texas. On the left is a mason bee, and on the right is a native bumblebee. You can see they kind of look different than the European honeybees. Here's a cross section of what native bee's nest looks like. It's kind of like a long, narrow tube, and you can see she's capped off each chamber with mud. They're very meticulous insects, really. They're interesting. Unfortunately, though, native bees and honeybees alike face threats to their survival, mainly being the use of herbicides and pesticides that weaken and kill fragile bees. Among these are herbicides that contain neonicotinoids, which are a new class of insecticides chemically related to nicotine. These are linked to what is called colony collapse disorder, which greatly hurts our friends the honeybees. Without workers to tend to her, the colony's queen will falter and eventually the colony will die out. Native bees also suffer from these pesticides, though, as it is believed that the neonicotinoids impact bee resistance to disease and predation from parasites. Deforestation and destruction of natural habitats has also put native bees at greater risk of extinction, as there just isn't as much land for them to occupy as there used to be. You may ask yourself, well, what can we do to help? In fact, small steps made by many can have a lot of positive outcomes for the native bees. A simple yet considerate way to aid the survival of native bees is by constructing boxes in which they can nest and raise young, avoiding the use of pesticides in our own personal gardens, planting native flowers and flowering trees for the native bees to drink from, and avoiding killing a bee when it draws close. They are shy animals, and most often they don't sting unless they're attacked. Some of the native flowers that you might consider planting in your own gardens for the native bees include the blue mist flower, the aquatic milkweed, the Texas star hibiscus, the antelope horn milkweed, and the salvia. These flowers are gorgeous, and they also provide natural sustenance for the native bees, and it really helps them. So I believe that with awareness and small changes made by many, there still may be hope yet for the native bees. Here's hoping that they will stay with us and thrive for many more years to come. Now I've also included, do we have links? We have links for the patterns for a bee box. But when you're constructing a bee box, the recommendation is to create one with untreated wood. Cedar is a really popular choice. As for the tubing, it's recommended to make it out of paper or bamboo or something else natural that you can take out and clean periodically. And it should be placed at least 2 feet above the ground, facing east or southeast, and including an overhang to keep the rain out from, so when the rain falls, it won't get in there and disrupt the bees. So these are actually made of a 6-foot, like a fence post, because all the pieces are the same width. So as you can see on the diagram there, it's actually really easy to put together. You just draw lines across one length of wood, and then you cut them out. And you can see we've arranged all the pieces on the floor there, so you can kind of see what it looks like before it's constructed. And that's kind of what the building process looks like. It's really simple. You just connect the side pieces to the back, and then you attach the roof and the bottom. It's really easy and simple. And that's what it looks like once it's finished. And this will be much better explained in the actual video that I made about how to construct one. Obviously, it's not very clear in the presentation, but that's kind of to be expected. That's what the completed house looks like, with all the straws in there. So, and that's, yeah, that's kind of it. Those are all the references that we used.
And we shared the link to her webpage, and we're asking everyone if they don't mind to sort of take a 5-question survey afterwards. That's kind of how, the Girl Scouts collects information on efficacy of sharing education. She also has a website, and I've shared the link. The plans, as well as all the materials and the recommendations, are on that website. And she also has a YouTube channel showing the process of putting together the bee house. Yeah, so that's kind of it. Any questions?
All right, Ari. I would like to start off the Q&A with a question of my own. How long has this taken you to do at Exploration Green?
Oh, you mean like installing them, or do you mean like the project in entirety?
I guess both.
Well, yeah, we started last year, and it takes a really long time to get the council to approve this stuff, because basically they're like a group of old ladies that you have to impress. They're really, really picky about everything. So, you have to like spend a long time getting their approval. I think it took like around a couple of months to get them to approve of everything.
Also getting a lot of the 503Cs seem to have a lot of fatigue right now because of COVID and everything. So reaching the right people took her a while. She, Brian Schrock from Exploration Green helped us a lot. She had done her silver award out there. She built bluebird boxes a couple of years ago, and it seemed a little easier back then to get commitments. We also ended up partnering with the City of Pearland and another environmental organization called Keep Pearland Beautiful. So she's installing bee boxes out there in Pearland, as well as we just did the install yesterday at Exploration Green, and it took probably a couple of weekends to get with a couple of people helping to build the boxes. The hardest part is really the documentation, I would say. I mean, and getting everybody to approve and sign off.
Yeah, great talk. Thank you. You may have answered this in your talk, so forgive me if I missed it, but what is the overall trend in Texas regarding native pollinators?
Well, a lot of people just don't seem to know about it. So I think it's important just, to talk and spread awareness on, the native bees and how important they are. Because a lot of people don't even know what native bees are, which is honestly kind of shocking. So, because again, like, a bee in like the popular imagination is like something that lives in a hive and makes honey for people, which, those are lovely. Not to discredit honeybees at all, but it is the native bees that do the majority of work for the local environment and also for agriculture.
Yes, good morning. I was just wondering, I did try once to have a native bee hive in the backyard. I ordered it mail order and stuff, and it came with some native bees with it.
Well, I see.
And I kept it for a few years, but really they didn't last very long at all. And I was just wondering, have you had success getting native bees into your hive?
Yes.
We have, and honestly, I think it can really depend because, well, they are animals at the end of the day. So it kind of needs to be to their liking. And if there's, something wrong, it could potentially deter them from wanting to use it. Like maybe it's not facing in the right direction, or it's not warm enough, or it's not clean enough, or something along the lines of that. So those are just conditions that we kind of have to check, unfortunately. But yeah, again, because they are animals, they're insects, and they can be kind of picky at the end of the day. But I think we have found success in our own nest boxes that we have. So
We also plant native. We have a native pollinator garden.
yes, and the native flowers really do attract the native bees, and they kind of encourage them to stay.
When I first moved to Texas some time ago, I had an apartment that had a wooden fence. And there were these occasional loud bees that come buzzing by. The neighbors called them B-29 bees. But anyway, they came into the wooden fence and they'd bore these perfectly round holes. And frankly, it kind of spooked me. But then I moved to a house that had a brick fence in it. And similar bees came by and they bored holes into the bricks.
Wow.
At that point, they earned my deep respect. The question is, should I be afraid of these bees as I am? Or are these friendly neighborhood bees who wouldn't assault anybody over 100 pounds?
I don't think so, because they don't really have a motivation to attack unless they're provoked. I think the boring holes into the fence and stuff, it kind of is scary, but they're most likely just doing it so they have a place to lay their eggs. So yeah, I understand how bees can be a little bit horrifying. I mean, I used to be scared of them myself, but eventually I came to realize that if you leave them alone, they're going to leave you alone most of the time. So
This question comes because an area that I spend a lot of time in has many, many wasps, but not many bees. And the wasps are typically considered just a great irritant, and people go out of their way to kill them. Do wasps play a similar positive role in the ecosystem as bees?
actually, the male wasps do. Well, the females are the ones that are aggressive. Male wasps are honestly, quite literally, they're just harmless, and they pollinate flowers. So they don't do like as massive as a job as the native bees, but the male wasps actually do pollinate flowers. So if you can tell the difference between a male and a female, it can be kind of better not to kill one if you see it. But obviously, if a wasp is coming after you, I'm not going to condemn you for killing them.
So if you remove the little stingers, can you eat bees?
You probably could, but obviously I wouldn't encourage that considering how important they are. But yeah, you could probably eat a bee. I mean, I don't think it would kill you.
Hi, yeah, talking about fear of bees, this phenomenon may predate you, but I was aware for a year or so about the Africanized killer bees coming up from South America and all of the kind of panic journalism that surrounded that. But once that kind of blew over, I never heard anything more about it. It's like, do we have an Africanized bee problem here in Texas?
Well, I'm sure some of them might still be around, but those are obviously an invasive species, so they shouldn't be here. So
You should get a bee wrangler if you actually happen to have bees in your yard and you're not comfortable with it. There are bee wranglers that are so comfortable with bees, they'll come in and they'll relocate the hive. So, and that's typically going to be, of course, the honeybees. But, if you can avoid killing any type of bee, I mean, that's really, I think, the message you're trying to send is, find the right people to help you, but it's becoming very common even for beekeepers now. They'll come and help and relocate the hive, or they'll take the bees themselves. I've heard anecdotally about some Africanized bees, but for the most part, I don't think it's like the movies were making out back in the 80s. It was
very sensationalized in the media. Well, I mean, that's because that's how you get people to read articles. So I don't think it's as much of an emergency issue as it's being played up to be, but definitely it's something worth keeping an eye on because, those are invasive species. They don't belong here. So, yeah.
First and foremost, thank all of y'all for being here today, both in person and online. You are what make Oasis Oasis. This is a community, and the people is what makes Oasis. Unfortunately, that does take money to run. So if you are able to and willing, we do have a hat in the back. We also have other methods to pay if you do not have cash and wish to do that. We also have ways for you to become a recurring donor if you're interested in that. And with that, we'll go ahead and have a couple of final songs.
What I do, and one of the aspects I love that not all musicians love, is actually traveling a lot. And basically, there's nothing romantic about it, just to let you know. I'm driving all over the country in my van, for the most part, by myself. So it's not romantic, but I love it, and I grew up that way. And although gas is going up to $5 a gallon and everything, probably starting in April, I'll get to start traveling again, which I'm excited about. As you may imagine, I've written a couple of road songs, and here's one that'll get that baby dancing again.